Welcome to the Trading with a Bot channel. Today, we will continue to explore the HODL Bot, which is available on 3commas platform. The strategy behind this bot is sometimes called an accumulation strategy, and you can find other bot platforms that support a similar automated investment. You could even execute this strategy manually by hand, without 3commas or any other bots. The purpose of this video, as well as the previous episode, is to show you how this strategy works, and to set your expectations in terms of the results of this strategy. With this trading approach, just as the name implies, you perform a regular purchase of a cryptocurrency of your choice, thus accumulating and holding it over a period of time. I had shown this visually in the previous video. The bot will perform a regular buy, at a predefined interval, for instance, every 24 hours. You also predefine the budget you want to spend each day, let's say $15. But because the price of the asset will continue to fluctuate, the average price you'll end up paying over time will be below your highest buys. And thus, another term of this strategy is dollar cost averaging, DCA investment strategy. In my example on the screen, I made 6 purchases of Bitcoin, at various prices, the highest being $21,450, and the lowest $18,951. Since I had always spent the same amount of money, I can average out the prices, to see my average cost, of owning Bitcoin. In one of the future videos, I will show you how the DCA would work, if you were spending a different amount of money each time. The HODL Bot, however, is designed to spend exactly the same amount, with each purchase. Let me now switch to the Excel file that I started to create in the previous video. I need to populate the column B, here, with the Bitcoin price data. I want to make calculation for the past half a year, or so. For this, I am searching on the internet to find the historical price data, that I can simply import into my Excel file. Yahoo Finance is one of the websites that maintain historical prices for many different financial assets. It does not have the price data on an hourly basis, but I believe that if I use the daily close, or daily adjusted close, my calculations will be sufficiently accurate. My goal here is to understand how much gain or loss I would incur if I purchased Bitcoin regularly. As you can see, this table shows the daily prices of Bitcoin, showing the highest and the lowest prices that Bitcoin reached during each of these days. Since my HODL bot would always purchase Bitcoin on a particular hour, I will use the price at the end of the day. That is, day's close price. Next, I will download these data. And I will copy and paste them into my own Excel file. The backtest that I am about to perform will start on the 1st of February, covering the past 5 months. I double-check if I pasted the price column correctly, by looking at the Bitcoin price on February 14th. My XLS shows the price of $42,586, and Yahoo's website shows the same price of $42,586. Next, I will fill out the amount of Bitcoin I will be able to buy, for my daily budget of $15. Here, it takes me a few seconds to figure out the proper formula to calculate how much Bitcoin I am able to buy. If one Bitcoin costs $38,743, what portion of Bitcoin can I buy for just $15? So I take 1 Bitcoin, divided by the price of Bitcoin, divided by $15 that I am spending. The resulting purchase is 0.000387 part of Bitcoin. It does not sound like much, but the idea is that you'd purchase such a small amount regularly, and accumulate your Bitcoin holdings over time. Another quick check. How much Bitcoin would I be able to buy on July 1st? I used the same formula, and the same funding of $15. But now as you can see I am purchasing 0.000774 Bitcoin, which is twice as much as I had purchased on the 1st of February for the same dollar value. This is not a surprise, since the price of Bitcoin had dropped from 38K to 19K. But this is also exactly the point of this strategy. You reduce your risk when buying a very volatile asset, such as Bitcoin, by spreading your purchases over time, and thus capturing all of the evolutions in the price, be it high or low. The column C of my file is showing how much Bitcoin I could be buying if I spent $15 every day. I also want to make calculations for a strategy where I would be spending the same amounts of money weekly. With this strategy, shown in column D, instead of $15 daily, I spend $105 each 7 days. Here I use the same XLS formula, but note that because I am spending more, I am also buying more Bitcoin. So my crypto budget is the same, $15 a day, but I spend it once per week, thus making it $105. The goal of this exercise is to see if I will be better off to buy bigger amounts of Bitcoin, but less frequently. In column D, I had just shown a pattern of buying Bitcoin every 7 days, and in column E, I will make calculations for a bi-weekly accumulation. Now, I will spend $210 to buy Bitcoin, but I will only do so every 14 days. So this is what the 3 different approaches would look like. Column E shows infrequent large buys. Column D shows a weekly medium-sized buy. And column C shows very small daily purchases of Bitcoin. Let me now populate the rest of the fields in my Excel file, and cover an investment period from 1st of February to 1st of July. When I am dragging my mouse cursor, the Excel file is filling out the cells with the formula I had shown you. And we can now see, both visually and numerically, how the HODL strategy would look like, in case you decided to accumulate Bitcoin, and your daily budget would be $15. Okay, now everything is filled in. I have a $15 purchase every 24 hours, a $105 purchase every 7 days, and a $210 every 14 days. This is how the DCA strategy would look like if you had set up a HODL bot with 3commas, or a similar platform. With all 3 approaches, I am spending exactly the same amount of money per month, but each of the columns will produce a different amount of Bitcoin when I sum up all my purchases. My monthly budget spent daily produces a daily amount of Bitcoin. And sometimes I get lucky to buy it at a very low price. Let me sum up all of the daily purchases to see how much Bitcoin I had accumulated by spending $15 a day. Okay, my daily HODL bot will produce 0.067021 Bitcoin in total. Would I be better off if I purchased Bitcoin less frequently? That is to say, would I end up owning more Bitcoin using the same monthly budget, but spending it only once per week? Indeed, it seems so. I would own more Bitcoin. The sum for a weekly accumulation is 0.067902, which is more than 1.3% larger than the sum from the daily purchases. Let's see how much I would accumulate if I only spent my money every 14 days. Only 0.066504, which is below the previous 2 sums. But my last purchase, in this column, was on June 20th, which is some 11 days in the past, and so maybe, if I extended my period until July 3rd, I would have certainly had a larger amount. But still, how do I know which strategy is the best? For this we need to add more data. First, I will add the sum in USD, to see how much I had spent on each of the columns in US dollars. And then, I will also calculate the average price that Bitcoin had cost me. Spending $15 daily during 151 days, will total to $2,265. I will fast forward the calculations for the weekly and bi-weekly purchases. To calculate the total amount spent, I multiply the count of occurrences by the amounts that I am spending. Both weekly and bi-weekly spending end up to be equal to $2,310. So this gives me the right to say that the 7-day buy strategy is better than 14-day strategy, because it resulted in a larger amount of Bitcoin for the same budget. Finally, to be able to compare all three options, I will calculate the average cost of Bitcoin that I own. I will do so by dividing the total sum in US dollars that I spent by the total amount of Bitcoin I purchased. The average price, or cost, of my owned Bitcoin is $33,795. The goal with the DCA strategy is to have the smallest cost as possible. Remember, buy low, sell high. Now I'll run the numbers for the weekly purchase and the bi-weekly purchase to see their respective average cost. Are you surprised with these results? I am. The weekly purchases resulted in a higher cost than the daily purchases, and the bi-weekly purchases were the highest of all three. So you see, even in a downtrending market, a daily small purchase appears to have produced the lowest cost of ownership. Let me sum it up now. After 6 months of a daily purchases, for an amount of $15, I spent in total $2,265. This allowed me to own in total 0.067 Bitcoin. The dollar cost average price that I paid is $33,795. Since this is the lowest cost of all three options, I consider that the daily purchase for the given period is indeed the best option. An unfortunate fact, however, is that we had recently experienced a major drop in the prices of Bitcoin, and the latest price on July 1st is $19,375. So even though we have averaged out the purchases of our Bitcoin, the average price we paid is still above the current market price. So, we're at a loss currently. I have done this manual backtest for a Bitcoin DCA purchase, and I had checked three options: buying Bitcoin daily, buying Bitcoin every 7 days, and buying it every 14 days. The average cost for each of the options is very similar, but still, as you have seen, the daily option produced a better result. We started our regular purchases in the beginning of February, when the price of Bitcoin was fairly high. At some point, the price was as high as $44,575. This strategy helped you to diversify away from buying Bitcoin at such a high price. Instead of spending a large amount of money and buying Bitcoin at $45K, you would have purchased it at every daily price level, and your average cost would be $33 or $34K. Let me now show you another tool, which you can find online, to make such calculations yourself. I did a Google search for Bitcoin DCA online, and there were actually a number of websites and services, for both backtesting your profits, and also for offering you to set up a DCA accumulation bot. I liked this one, from CryptoHead. When I replicate the setup that I had shown you in the Excel, buying, for instance, $105 worth of Bitcoin on a weekly basis, from 1st of February to 1st of July, I end up with a negative profit. My investment value is minus 32.6%. Recall that for the weekly investment, I had calculated my average cost to be $34,019, so it is natural for me to be in a minus now, because the current price of Bitcoin is much below $34K. If I were to start with my weekly accumulation a year earlier, on February 2020, I'd be plus 21% in profit, however. So the recent price decrease would not have affected me that much. If I backtest during a bullish period, of 2020 to 2021 only, as you can see, I would have doubled my investment. The website gives you an option to change the frequency, and from the looks of it, the profit percent is very similar for a weekly and a daily investment. The less frequent investment, such as monthly or annually, are not as good. Just for fun, imagine you had the wisdom, and the funds, to start accumulating Bitcoin since the year 2014. You'd spend $105 per week, which seems doable, and in total since 2014, you'd spend $47,145. but the value of all the Bitcoins that you purchased would have been well over $1 million today. I also like the visual representation of your investment. The blue line shows the amount of money you allocate, in US dollars. And the green line shows the value of your investment, considering the amount of Bitcoin you own, and the current price of the Bitcoin. So feel free to play around with this tool. I will leave a link to this website in the description. I think that the main learning for me by creating the Excel file that I had shown you earlier, and from backtesting the data on a website as such, is that the DCA HODL strategy works best when running for a long time, and that both daily and weekly purchases produce a similar result. But a less frequent purchases such as bi-weekly or monthly are less profitable. I am not a financial advisor, so please do not take this video as financial advice. I've shown you that if you started to accumulate Bitcoin at the beginning of the year, you'd be in minus. However, now as the price had dropped, it may be just the time to set up such accumulation, or as they call it, a HODL bot. As I had shown in this video, this is an intuitive and relatively safe strategy, which is well suited for new investors. What's also good is that you can run this bot on 3commas with a free account, so this could be the very first bot you'd want to set up. But also, there are other bots and algorithms that are available on 3commas. And, if you would like to continue to learn more about investing and trading cryptocurrencies with automation, please do subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching, and until next time.